Is China's aging leader, Mao Zedong, losing control?
Mao had decided to mobilize the young people as the driving force of a vast campaign.
The Red Guards went wild in their enthusiasm to keep the revolution alive.
Expose, criticize, and repudiate thoroughly, and launch fierce attacks on all kinds of representatives of the bourgeoisie, sweeping away all such monsters. The heroic young Red Guard fighters go out on the streets. That is, the old ideas, old culture, old customs, and old habits left over by the old society, which spread feudal poison and symbolized imperialist aggression and capitalist exploitation. They are destroying old shop signs and replacing them with revolutionary ones. The scum and dregs, such as street names insulting the Chinese people, left by imperialism and revisionism, must be completely destroyed. Let Mao Zedong's thought occupy all positions. They are putting up quotations from Chairman Mao Zedong. The Chinese people will go all out to establish the new ideas, new culture, new customs, and new habits of the proletariat.
After reports of riotings, beatings up, and even murder, the Red Guards seem to have gone too far. Their leaders have told them to cool off and go and help with the harvest.
The Marxist virus in the economy. As is well documented, Marxism originally expressed itself through the prism of economics. In this case it attaches itself to the little guy in the guise of the working class who have historically had challenging work conditions during the Industrial Revolution. The legitimate and authentic civil liberties side in the interest of this societal demographic would be non-ideological unions. More specifically, unions who advocate for the humane working conditions of the workers, while at the same time working collaboratively with management and owners to facilitate a thriving business during economic growth periods and a business resilient to bankruptcy and collapse during recessionary periods. Instead we got unions who became cesspools for Marxist activities, who became so obnoxious and excessive in their demands they made much of Western manufacturing became inflexible and the companies became stultified. For example, the three main American car manufacturers did well in the post-war period. Employee pay and working conditions became high, but they were unable to adapt to being competitive with Japanese and other small car manufacturers. They could only build SUVs and they were all bankrupted by the 2008 global financial crisis and have effectively been zombie companies ever since. Many a prospective entrepreneur found it difficult to work with local unions on manufacturing, which encouraged an exodus. Since NAFTA was signed in the early 90s and China was allowed into the WTO in early 2000s, the stagnation of the American manufacturing sector turned into a flood of job losses. And that's without going into the fact that working conditions in countries run by communist parties are far from being a worker's paradise. In this case, the ire and the stereotype of the big bad other is predominantly in the guise of the entrepreneurial burgess class capitalist who are deliberately out to do nothing more than suppress and exploit the workers. This in reality just leads to driving away unproductive people from engaging in activities that provide employment. Anyone who disagrees with the ideology is a class enemy or a revisionist in the case of different sectarian communist groups. Ironic then that the Solidarity movement on Poland was born out of unions.
Subscribe. Comment in the section below. Hit the bell for more notifications. More content on BitChute. I am on Gab and Twitter. Like and share.